Okay, I think everybody's in. All right. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tiffany with the Office of Community Engagement, and I'm joined once again with the rock star Battalion Chief Trevor Shannon. He is our Battalion Chief of Emergency Management. I think he's probably going on close to 36 to 48 hours of being up and serving our city. So he is going to give us a quick update. If you could just mute your line if you are not speaking, and we'll type the questions in the chat. So Chief Shannon, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Tiffany. So as of this morning, we reported multiple rescues from vehicles overnight, and then, of course, the evacuation of the residents this morning. We have since added another evacuation of a hotel facility here in Roanoke down on Franklin Road. That evacuation is in process and going fairly smoothly, according to the last report from our on-scene battalion chief and police chief. That should be accomplished here within the next probably 15 to 30 minutes. And once we get through that, we'll have another briefing in our EOC to work through the remainder of the evening and tonight. No additional vehicle rescues have been made today. And part of that is because people are actually staying in and staying on higher ground, as we certainly appreciate and encourage everyone to do. That is very helpful to us when we do not have to put our folks at risk making rescues for folks who try to get through standing water or moving water. We did get off a conference call with the National Weather Service at 3:30. We do have new updates, and the river had crested once at 15 feet 8 inches. Unfortunately, we're expecting another crest sometime this evening around 2 a.m., which could be a few inches higher than that 15.8. So again, we want everyone to remain vigilant and notify 911 if you see immediate threat or if you need assistance with evacuation. We're going to continue monitoring storm through the night. We'll have staff members in the Emergency Operations Center for the remainder of the evening into tomorrow morning, and then we will reevaluate and staff up the EOC again tomorrow morning if necessary.
All right, so everyone, I did want to let folks know, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, we're also broadcasting this on WFXR and also on FM radio 101.5. So there's opportunities, and then we'll post on YouTube. But what questions do you all have for Chief Shannon? All right, was the Spring Valley Lake Dam ever in danger of failing, or were the evacuations downstream made out of an abundance of caution? And what was that assessment of engineers? Trevor, if you know the answer to that.
I do. So I've been in touch with the homeowner representative for that dam. He has been in contact with me at least 3 times today. The dam engineer was there sometime this morning before noon, who had put his eyes on everything and was very comfortable with how the dam was flowing and how the outlets were maintaining the flow of water. So while yes, level 3 shows that dam at a threat of failure, it was never imminent, and it certainly was done out of abundance and of caution and through discussions of our public safety personnel and staff that were on call last night.
Okay. And Shane, if you could retype, because I didn't get to keep the questions in the chat about the barricades, and my brain's a little fuzzy, I can't remember what that was. So if you could retype that in the chat. All right, the evacuated guests at the Ramada Inn included people being sheltered by the city's homeless assistance team. Where will those people be relocated? If you could talk about that a little.
Yeah, certainly. We have been in touch with the organizations involved in that sheltering effort throughout the entire morning and into this afternoon. They have been great partners with us, and they're assisting in the evacuation. Those folks are being moved to 2 other hotel complexes north of the city, and right off of Peters Creek Road. They'll be housed there for the next several days until we have safe water levels and can get them back to a shelter working with those teams.
Okay. All right. The cars in the same spot on Bennington last night, clearly something, I don't know, Shane, if I know, clearly something didn't work. The barricades were small frame sandwich board signs and hard to see in the dark. So I guess he's asking, are there some better options maybe for barricades to be deployed at night?
Yeah, certainly we can look at those alternatives. Unfortunately, that's a tough spot to really shut down because there's a service center right there across the street with a very large parking lot that's open right to the roadway. It's a challenge, and we had crews out there on the first incident who recognized that, notified our barricades crew, and requested additional barricades. Unfortunately, we do our part. We try to put out as many barricades as we can. We've talked about other options, but it's a challenge because of the way the city of Roanoke faces flood threats, and the areas are not always the same. So we can't always have pre-staged barricades exactly where it's going to be, every time.
Okay. Yeah, and that's true. And that area does always flood. And it's actually a lot better than it used to be with the Roanoke River mitigation flooding. So doing the best. And we really do commend our residents and our visitors because they've been doing a really good job today. Okay, so Maggie, officials tonight monitoring things. We will have some folks in the Emergency Operations Center monitoring things throughout the night. Are there people who were encouraged to evacuate but I can't think today, but chose to remain in place? And what outreach and monitoring are we going to be done to monitor those residences overnight?
So I cannot say for sure whether or not we had residents stay or not. We have a team of people under the Emergency Operations Center staff that oversee those operations. They're documenting all of those homes that they've touched base with. If they did stay in place, we hand out a flyer that gives them some guidance on, our recommendations and who they can call if they choose to stay and then something were to happen and they have an emergent need. Certainly, we encourage everybody we talk to follow through with an evacuation if it's a recommendation, but there has not been any mandatory evacuations made throughout any of the residential properties in the city.
Okay. And can people come back to their homes if they evacuated at Spring Valley Dam, or is that something where we're still urging folks to not return home at this time?
So talking with the representatives over there, they are still at level 3, which would still tell us that the dam is in danger of failure. Again, everything is working well there, so we're confident in what that is doing. Unfortunately, we go off the guidance in the emergency action plan for that specific area, and we would still encourage people to stay put if they are able to. That's our recommendation. Again, we're not going to force anybody. We gave the option last night and encouraged people to. So.
All right, and I think I just saw him pop in. Jonathan Simmons with the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. Are you on the phone?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
So does anyone have any questions? Jonathan, VDEM has been wonderful. They've been here with us in the Emergency Operations Center and have been a huge resource to us. So if anyone has any specific questions for Jonathan at VDEM, now's the time to type that in the chat. Or other parts of the city that you're monitoring for possible evacuation as the rain continues to fall? And if so, where would those be? So there's some hot spots that maybe have you a little concerned or anything like that we can let everyone know about?
Well, certainly. We're continuing to monitor, and we have our GIS team mapping as frequently as possible and maintaining close contact with them. We do feel like we have made the reverse 911 notifications to those high hazard areas and the appropriate notifications in person for the other evacuations. So we'll have crews out again monitoring high threat areas. However, we feel like we have covered a majority of those areas. We do not see any new inundation zones that we have to immediately focus on at this time.
Yeah, and that's something where we want people to just be vigilant. We want them to keep apprised of weather reports. If you know that you live in a flood-prone area, that it really is important for you maybe to think about moving to some higher ground and gathering some of the things you might need, like medications, pet supplies for children, things like that. And we do want to let you know our stormwater trucks have been out, Western Virginia Water Authority, so we have people giving shout outs there. So if no one else has any questions for Trevor or Jonathan, I think we're going to cut them loose. Okay, we've got one more. Can you recap the total evacuations due to flooding and the places that were evacuated, if you even know that, Trevor?
Yes, and I apologize.
Guesstimate.
Yeah. So I apologize if I miss any, but we're looking at roughly over 100 notifications made today, 40 plus at the Ramada Inn off of Franklin Road, the other additional 60 homes near Piedmont area and Arbor Avenue in Southeast, and then of course the area around the Spring Valley Lake Dam. So add it all up, I think we're well over 100. I do not have the exact number here with me, and I apologize. But yes, we've made contact with at least that many.
Okay. And we just want people to be safe, and also to note, Trevor and the whole team, that we're in contact with our partners at Carillion and other folks throughout the city. So I'm really keeping a close eye on it. So I thank you, Trevor, for giving us a few minutes. We probably will not do any more updates this evening unless things really start changing, but we will be pushing a lot of stuff out on social media throughout the night. So make sure that you follow us there. And then we're also going to post this to YouTube. So thanks everybody so much for watching, and have a great night.